What up? What up? It's your man Sean P coming in live. This is the one and only Sean P Experience. How y'all doing out there? Monday evening. Let's get it. We got a very, very special show lined up for y'all this afternoon. I cannot wait. It's gonna be action packed. My man already in the building. What up? What up? Peace, peace. What's going on, King? How you doing? How you doing? I'm gonna let my sister AA come on first and give a little small intro. I'm gonna bring the artists in the building already. What's going on? Peace, peace. I'm seeing y'all. I'm seeing y'all waving back. Ooh, my sister in the building. What's going on? How you doing, sis? What's going on? Good evening. Good evening. I'm gonna let my sister AA come on first. The master of ceremony. Let her come in the building first, and then I'm gonna bring my guys into the room after that. I'm seeing you. I'm seeing you. For those that don't know, tonight will be a round robin of black male authors for the Brae event, right? I'm seeing y'all. I see the request coming up. I'm gonna hit y'all up in a little bit. Let me let AA come in the building first, ladies first, and then I'm gonna bring y'all onto the stage, man. We're gonna rock and roll with it. I wanna give her a chance to, there she go right there, AA in the building right there. I wanna give her a proper chance to give her piece first, because it is her event, and I'll bring the guys up after that. And y'all. I'm bringing AA up first. There she go.
Hey,
My sister. We
hey,
doing it
Sean, I'm good. How are you?
like we never left.
I
We
know.
right back.
I'm like, man, I think I've been with you all week
You
long.
know what I'm saying? We just it's like deja vu, right?
But
What's
it's a
going on?
good deja
Yeah,
vu,
yeah,
right?
yes, yes, yes. What's going on? Good evening. Happy Monday. I'm gonna do a small little intro for you first. Let you come up, talk about the Bray event this week in the matter of, man,
Hours,
the clock is ticking, right? A matter of
hours.
hours. I got my Kindle on standby. It's on the charger, charging up. I can go in there and just click away. But I want you to come on here and talk about tonight's event, why we're here tonight, what we're doing tonight, before I bring the guys into the building.
Sure. No, well, it's always important to me that I showcase all of our Black excellence, right? And that includes the male authors. And so many times I hear people say, like, I didn't know there were so many, Black authors, especially in the indie space. We know of the select that have actually been traditionally published, but in the indie space, in the lesser published, and by lesser, I mean just the smaller companies, they don't realize that male authors are out here. And part of my mission for Brae was to make sure that I give my brothers an opportunity to shine, to showcase their talents, and to be seen and respected in this community. So I am back because what do we have again on Brae? We have male authors, and we have several male authors.
Yeah.
Like we grow every year in the male writing space, and I'm so happy for that. And I want it should be something that continues year after year.
Yeah.
But I have to have the conversation with you because this is where it all started. Last year
Yes,
I
ma'am.
said, Sean, I think I want to have a male panel discussion on male writers and, some of their pain points, some of the joys of being in this literary industry, and what we as readers and other authors can do to help support and elevate their platforms. So here we are again. Thank you, because
Mhm.
I look
Round two,
forward
baby.
to this
Round two.
discussion.
Yeah,
I look forward.
yeah, yeah.
This is going to be an annual event, and I love that
Right,
for us.
right. It could be a very lonely road. I mean, speaking from my own personal journey, before I even came to Instagram and before I came to this space, it could be a lonely road as a black male author. It seems like far and in between, you find other people to relate to
Mhm.
and understand the pain points, understand what you're going through, the adversities, and even within the reading space, it's far and in between. You find the connections. When I'm a guy in different book clubs, I said it last
Right.
week. Most times, the only guy in the room. I went to a book event 2 months ago. It was like 70 people. It might have just been two guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm so used to that. It's kind of my normal now. But you would love to see a bunch of guys to be able to relate to it. Oh yeah, what's going on,
And,
man?
and
And
we
We
of
don't really
talked
have that.
about that stigma that comes with reading. Like sometimes it's considered not cool to walk around with books, whether it's nonfiction or fiction. Um, but it's that in the stereotype that we don't read. First, it's just Black people. Then it's an attack on the gender space that we're in. I'm here to let you know all of that that's falsehoods. Those are false narratives that they would have you believe. And I'm here to tell you, not only do we read, but we write, and the pen game is tight. When I say I respect the group of men that we're going to talk to tonight, like I love that they each have such a unique voice. They're all in different phases of their writing journey, and I think it's important that we hear these different stories. One, because we're going to be able to relate to them. They're our brothers. They're creatives. What more do we need to say? And they're writing stories that we should be reading. So I love that for us. What I was gonna say to you was, when you were saying it's a lonely world or lonely journey, excuse me, for anybody in this space. But when it comes to the my male counterparts, finding that group, that push of encouragement from someone who looks like you is far and in between. Because women, I could go somewhere and be like, hey, I write books and now I got friends. Or I got a group of people instantly on, social media that are gonna, wrap themselves around me and support. What I've been noticing though is, men and women are different in how we navigate and how we socialize. And I know that my job, though, is to push everybody out of their comfort zone.
Yep.
So even the women's space, not to be to be more inclusive of our male counterparts and get them involved in the conversation. And sometimes that means not just stumbling upon them, but reaching out and grabbing them and saying, hey, you belong here. Come over here. This is a safe space for you to just be an author. And my readers will love to support, but we need to know how. So that's why conversations, what's going to happen tonight, are so important.
I asked the question on my live last year. I was in Dallas, Texas, just thinking one day, like, how often do you just ride around the city somewhere and just see a guy sitting there just reading something? Like back in the old days, the OG would be sitting there with their legs crossed reading the paper somewhere, or in the barber shop with a little small book you fit in your hand. They're reading Donald Goins or whatever it is. Like, our children need to see that image of guys sitting there,
Yeah.
just sitting, chilling, just reading a magazine, whatever it might
Listen,
be. But that image isn't even that strong anymore for today's generation.
no, well, you know what? I'll say this. Because there's different platforms in which we now have to read, right? We can't say that we don't know, but there are certain behaviors. Like I notice male readers when I'm out in public. I'm very observant anyway, because I'm looking for my next character. But I will be like, hey, like, he's not bopping, when he got his headphones in. So what is he listening to? And then I'll see him, gradually turn something. So in my mind, I'm hoping and envisioning that brother is taking in some kind of knowledge, or he is reaping the benefits of a good story. Like, that's how it plays out in my mind. So I can't say that I see the physical book as much, but I do see reading activity. And even then I'm forced to engage, because I'm just like, hey, is that your book? How did you like it? Tell me about it. I will start the conversation because I want them to know
I
that
know
I
it's
see you.
I know it's awkward probably. And I wouldn't advise it, but like it's so far in between. When I'm in the bookstore, most times I'm the only Black guy in the bookstore. So when I see
Mm-hmm.
another brother in the bookstore, I'm like, man, what you reading? Like why you pick that up? I want to engage with that.
Mm-hmm. But you
I
know
want to
what?
have like, man, what's
What
up with
you'll
that? What's
find,
going on?
Dawn, what you'll find is they are more than willing to open up and tell you. Like, they've been waiting for somebody to ask them for a recommendation, waiting to, like, review the last read that they had that was awesome. And, you know, especially if it motivated them in some kind of way, they're waiting to be asked. And our job is no longer to sit there and just hope that they spark up a conversation. We need to be proactive. We need to engage each other differently so that we know that the reader as well as the author knows we're trying to create a safe place for all Black readers and authors to coexist. And I think Brae is doing that in a positive way.
Well, with that being said, my sister, I'm about to bring some of these amazing guys into the building. Thank you very much for giving me a chance to do this with your baby and trusting me with the brand. And I look forward to next year doing it again.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have fun. I am going to be watching off on the side and cheering you all on. And I just need to say thank you for participating in this year's Brae. They're going to love on you this year. Those readers are ready. So have a good conversation. I'm going to exit left because this is a men only. Thank you, Sean.
Where my dogs at? Where my dogs at? I need my guys in the building.
Well, see, my bark don't even be that. I'd be like, you need a little bit more oomph in that bark. But I'm a patiently exit.
But
I can see it's not even in me. Have a good night, everyone.
I'm about to get my guys in the building. I'm sending some invites out. My man in the building. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Peace.
How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I see some guys coming in the building. I got two of my brothers on.
Uh-oh.
If I get somebody else in the building. Okay. We got two. Okay, we got three. Okay, three piece. Once again, because of Instagram capabilities, we can only get 4 on the screen at one time. We're gonna do a good 20-30-minute build. And then I'm gonna let y'all rotate out, let somebody else come in the building, give them their time, kind of sprinkling around. You know what I'm saying? So first of all, man, thank y'all for joining us. I appreciate y'all. We had a phenomenal conversation last year. The audience loved it, man. They love hearing our voices and our thoughts, right? So thank y'all for coming out doing this tonight. First of all, intro yourself and tell us what genre you write in, man.
You want to go first, big guy, or what's up? I go. I'm author Hezekiah Morris. I write nonfiction and erotica romance.
Shoot, I'm Quan. I write street fiction, trying to branch out into other things though.
Author Navi Robbins. I'm multi-genre. I write horror, science fiction, dystopian, young adult, romance, suspense, dystopian, children's books. I've hit every genre besides probably erotica and nonfiction.
So I love to ask my brothers the first question, man. Tell me what brought you into the world of books. Like whenever you were maybe younger or something, what got you into the book space? I know for a lot of us guys, you know, sports and hip hop in the streets or whatever, be called in our name, right? So what make you say, you know what, I'm gonna start getting these books? What was that for you?
I go first. You know, for me, man, I did everything. Like, I did the streets, I done did all that, and just, you know, trying to look for something difficult. I always was a reader growing up. My mom was a reader. She used to read them Danielle Steele books, and that's how I first learned how to read. You know what I'm saying? Like 4 years old, I'm reading the books with her. You know, and like I'm like, man, I like books. You know what I'm saying? So on my way through school and doing everything, man, I was always a reader. Whatever situation I was in, I always read. And you know, my last little situation was like, man, why don't you write a book? Why don't you write about your story? You know what I'm saying? So I wrote about everything that I had went through, starting from the time I was born on up to my situation that I was in. And the reception that I got was like, whoa, what are you going to do with it? So I was like, man, let me call a publisher, see what I can do with it. I was like, you know, let's try something different. And I remember I was at work. I was working construction, man. I was, we digging pipes and stuff. I said, man, I got a little old book over here, and here I am just doing this construction thing. I just woke up one morning. I called some people I knew, and I had a cousin. He lived in New York. I was like, you know what, man? I got this little book right here. Let me see what this gonna do. And what it did, it got me prepared for life, but it also got me prepared for some other things that followed after that. Because I think I had book signings at Columbia, Georgetown, Howard. But at the same time, I was still going through because when I moved to do everything, I was homeless. I ain't never been homeless before. I was like, but I was determined not to give up. I was like, you know what? This is my dream right here. So if my dream discouraged, I'm not going home without a dream. So I just kept with it. And here I am right now on this show right now. Like people think just writing a book is writing a book, but it's something that you love to do. It's something that you like to do. I never thought that my granddaddy honking the horn at 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's go to the country store, boy, to get a newspaper. And I'm reading that newspaper with him. Like you was talking about, I'm right there with my granddaddy. What's in the newspaper? Even if I'm reading sports or politics or anything, I'm reading. So I was always reading, and my whole family always read. So it was just something that was in me.
All right, next up. One of y'all first, man. How you came into the world of books, man? What put you on?
I was always reading. School, they made you read. But when it came to like urban fiction and stuff, I don't know how I found. I was walking through Barnes and Noble. I just wanted something to read, man. So I found Iceberg Slim's Pimp. It was, y'all already know. So I went on from there. I branched off Cartel, Ashley and Jaquavis. I was stuck on their books for like a year straight, man, reading everything they put out. Dirty Money, all that, Supreme Clientele. Then I branched off into like Quan, T Styles, Triple Crown people. Then I was like, man, they out here doing, let me try my hand at it. So I started with like a novella, basically. That was my first story. It was Karma. So I tried that on nothing but a few hundred pages. But like my man said, the reception was so good, man. The world, they open up to you. They love you. They
Mm-hmm.
embrace you. So yeah, they let you in. I was accepted instantly, man. It was all I was 19, getting love from people that's twice my age. So I couldn't even be mad at it. So I just kept going. What, 2, 3 years later, I'm about to drop my fourth book now.
Wow.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Appreciate
Salute. My brother bringing up the rear. What you got?
Oh, I started as a singer-songwriter. I ain't gonna hold you. Writing songs, writing music as a ghostwriter. And then it gradually just transitioned over to writing books. I think the author that inspired me will be Sidney Sheldon. The book will be Master of the Game. Um, that kind of like took me to a whole other level because of the way that he wrote that book, chronologizing a family from the beginning to the end on how a person can become started out as a good person. He's a good dude, and then some horrible things happen to him in life, and he turns out to be a despicable human being. And to see that translation was absolutely phenomenal. And then after that, I started to try to write books, and I was going through 10 books that I couldn't finish. And then one day, some said, "How about you take pieces of each one of those books and combine it into one story?" And that's what Walking Among the Shadows Awakening, which is my first book. And the journey has been phenomenal, being that I have touched so many different genres and been successful in them. It opened my eyes to a different world. So I've written urban, I've written, like I said, science fiction, young adult, paranormal, horror, science fiction. Um, right now I'm gonna be 18 books in by December 10th. Um, yeah, um, from meeting some of my actually having the opportunity to talk to Stephen King, which was one of my horror, you know what I'm saying, like to talk to him for 30 minutes on Clubhouse was like the pinnacle. And I'm sitting there telling him this story that I got in my mind, and he was like, "Oh shit!" And then we on there for 30 minutes was like crazy. Then after that, meeting some of the other authors that I like, Quan, meeting him in person and having him buy my books and I'm signing them for him. That also was another pinnacle of my career. And to actually get to know these authors, right? So I can inbox him and be like, "Hey, what's going on, Quan? How you doing?" And he'd be like, "What's up?" You know, and even Quan next to me, like when he first started out, he was like, "Navi, I need you to do, because I'm a graphic designer too. I need you to do my covers." And I remember the first time I met him at Detroit Hustle and Grind. This is a little teenage guy. And I'm like, he comes to my table like, "Hey, can you sign my books?" And I'm like, "What?" You know, and I've read his stuff and to see the talent and passion inside of him. It's not just the journey of being an author, it's also watching other authors grow and to see them become great at it. I'm always inspiring authors, telling them like, "Hey, you can keep going. Don't give up. Don't put your pen down. I know it can be hard at times, but don't put your pen down." And that sometimes I got to tell myself that because writer's block can kill you sometimes. You sit up there, I lost my mojo. But it's this journey is it is very rewarding for me to understand that Black people are at least 300 years in arrears when it comes to
Yeah.
writing, and to see that now there are more Black published authors than have ever been in history. That to me is inspiring, right? You know, people from all walks of life. When you go to these book fairs and you're communicating with people online, on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram, and you see the different backgrounds that people come from, and you see the stories that they write, that's inspiring. That is inspiring, and I cannot wait to see how far we can push it because the indie industry has ballooned, right? It has become a force to reckon with to the point that the big five are doing their best to try to suppress content that we putting out. So, and I just for me like the encouraging and when I see other authors succeed and to see them transition from an author to a screenwriter and see their movies on the big screen or the small screen, whether it's Tubi or Netflix, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, man, look where we are today versus where we were 15 years ago. And I'm just really inspired to see where we can take it going forward.
Yeah, what you said on the backside, I want to comment on that, man, because you're right. We see all these streaming platforms, they want to have their own original content. So they got to come to us writers now to get their new series, to get that new movie. They got to come to the. So I said all my writing friends, man, keep writing like you said, because you never know, man. They're trying to find the next thing, right? So we all talk about being young readers. How do you fight that stereotype that Black guys don't read? How do you fight that stereotype? And what do you think about that stereotype? They said, "Man, y'all guys not reading like that. Y'all not really getting it in like that." What do you say to that?
You know what's so funny? We read a lot. Whether it's getting up on our phone in the morning, looking at Sports Center or whatever, we're reading something. You know what I'm saying? But what really got me is when I moved to Atlanta, and it was a lot of Black guys, my color, that couldn't read, my age. And I'm like, I'm trying to sell them this book. And it was like, "Oh, I can't read." I'm like, "Are you serious?" You know what I'm saying? So instead of me wanting to put my pen down, I wanted to write more. I wanted to be like, well, let me be the reason you want to learn how to read. Let me be the reason you want to learn how to write. You know what I'm saying? Because it hurt me to my heart. And for me, it's like, man, I must have got a okay education. I used to be like, man, I didn't want to grow up in this small town. But it's like, you'll be amazed. And like, for me, if I see a homeless person, he'd be reading. You know what I'm saying? That's like, here you go, man. I got something for you to read. You know what I'm saying? He'll come back. I'll be like, where's my book at? He'd be like, oh, I gave it to my other friend to read. And I gave it to my other friend to read. And so I'm walking around these places, and they like, man, your book, that's you. You wrote that, that's you. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, man, I love that book. When can I get a novel? And they're like, I got you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like getting somebody to read, man, regardless. And believe it or not, giving somebody a book of yours to read, whether it's free or not, that's that's your merchandise. That's your brand right there. That brand is going to spread like a wildfire. And if I'm getting them to read, who else can I get to read? You know what I'm saying? So it's a cycle. So I'm helping somebody else that doesn't have. So I'm always trying to find a next niche to help somebody. Like, man, we can all do this together. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a blessing, man. I don't think sometimes authors think about how we bless other people just by sometimes giving freely, how much a blessing that is. It's not always about making money. It's about, this is your art. This is your talent. Give it to the world. I had a guy tell me one day, he was like, look at that graveyard over there. He said, you see all them people that's laid, all of them was talented, but they never used it. So for me to be able to do that, I was like, man, I don't want to waste my talent on nothing. And I'd be over there 6 feet under. So that was a blessing to me to be able to give back because somebody gave to me. You know, when Richard Wright wrote Black Boy, that's my favorite book. He gave back to me. He let me know what was going on in the world. So for me to be able to stamp down like, here, man, this for you. That's the blessing in it right there.
Yeah, man, to co-sign that real quick before I move to the next guy, man. I know for myself, when I'm out in public reading the paper, reading the magazine, I make it a point to leave it somewhere somebody else can get it. I never throw it away for
That's it.
years. Because our OGs would always leave papers on the train. They would leave papers on the subway, leave papers in the barbershop, and somebody else would get it. So
You
I make
know
it a habit
what's so
myself
funny?
personally.
You know
I'm
what's so
always
funny?
passing information,
You,
man.
you know what's so funny? Whenever somebody leaves something like a paper or something on the tray, I'm always picking it up, reading it.
So how about you fellas, man? How y'all feel about the stereotype that the brothers don't read like that, we don't get down like that, we're not in them spaces, man? How y'all feel about that?
I can't agree with it, man. Because you see all the fellas, well, us four right here, we write, we read. You know, we four prime examples of we do that. There's other brothers out there, like you said, Quan, Black Top, Ty Marshall. It's a whole bunch of us that read, man. We might not. It might be a few out there like, nah, man, that's whack. I do this. I rap. I ball. But secretly, you know, they reading, man. They gotta read something. Like you said, we read every day, whether it's social media or I read this poster walking down the street. We always reading something, man. So I just feel like that stereotype is real ignorant.
Yeah, I had to check myself years ago, right? Because I was always saying in the beginning, I wasn't really a reader when I was coming up in school. I
Hmm.
was a grown man coming in the books, what I would say. But then I was corrected because, like the brother said earlier, I was a young man reading Slam magazine, Double XL, The Source, Vibe. Those writers
Mhm.
in those magazines, those journalists are supreme writers, bro. We
Right.
can't downgrade them because it's in a magazine format and not a novel format. So I really was reading the whole time, unbeknownst to me. So we got to stop that stereotype that it got to just be novel.
There we go.
You get it how you get it, you know what I mean? And my brother, what you got?
I think the stereotype is is basically we've always had to deal with these type of stereotypes as black men, right? Like, we're problematic, we don't read, we don't write, we're not educated, and brothers that write, you know what I'm saying? And we got to get louder with our voices. We have to stand a little bit taller than those who cannot read, those who aren't writing, so that they can see the army of black men who do read and who do write. Because, like young brother Quan said next to me, like I know so many men in this industry
Mhm.
that write and they read. Like avid readers will be sitting around, like sometimes people be sitting around talking about movies or alcohol or sex. We be sitting around talking about books. Oh man, you remember this book? We'd be excited, like, no, dog, you don't know. No, what about this one? Oh, you read that too? Like just and we be excited, right? And you be sitting there thinking like we probably sitting around there talking about women or something like that. No, you know what I'm saying? Talking about we're talking about Game of Thrones, right? We're talking about the books from Triple Crown back in the day when they was really just hitting the scene and just blowing everything up, opening the doors for urban fiction, or reading something else or something off the wall, like some Asian author that nobody ever heard of, and it'd be like, I never read that before. You should read it, man. It's a really good book. So there is a stereotype, and I do believe that black men, we do, those of us who do read profusively, like myself, I was reading, my mom was a horror book buff. And she had one of those old school beds with the bookshelf on it on the back, them old school ones made out of the wood. And I was sneaking there and read her books. That's why I fell in love with Stephen King. Like Stephen King, Dean Koontz. I forgot the name of the author that wrote Burnt Offerings and stuff like that. And I'm in there scaring myself half to death reading these books, sneaking. I ain't supposed to be doing it. I'm like 5 years old, just going through it and trying to make sure I don't miss the little curve at the edge of the page that she made, which is diabolical now. As an author, if I see you bend that page at the tip, we can't be friends. It's diabolical. But back then, I would make sure I keep track of that page, because if you found out that I was reading those books, my mom is old school. So you know what happened then. But reading from five, you know what I'm saying? Reading everything that was thrown at me, whether it's at school or at home, sneaking in my mom's room reading. And there were other children that I grew up with that read just as much as me. And we just all sitting around reading the same book. But I believe that the more visual content is available, which would be like what's on television, what's on your phones and stuff like that, a lot of times people misunderstand a person looking at a screen as if they're watching video and they're not reading a book, because now you can read books on your phone or on your tablet. Because I remember when I used to commute, there would be people sitting there with their tablet in their hands, and you would assume that they're watching a video, but then when you walk past them, they're reading a book, they're reading a newspaper or something like that. So it is a stereotype, but I do also believe that black men who are scribes, it is up to us to speak a little bit louder, be a little bit more assertive about
Yeah,
our position in the
right.
literary world and how much reading we're doing, so that there can be an equilibrium of, and kind of like do away with that stereotype that black men don't read and black men don't write.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wanna go back a little bit. I wanted to start with this, but I got excited in the beginning. But today is Veterans Day. I want to say a shout out and salute to all my vets. I'm a vet as well, a military vet. But it sparked my mind because we were talking about passing books. How I became a reader was I was 18, 19 years old on a Navy vessel, and the OG black guys would pass me Eric Jerome Dickey and Omar Tyree. Like you said, Iceberg Slim, Donald Goins, right? But the thing is, my military uniform back then, 20 years ago, the way the books were, that particular size of the book back then, it can fit right in my pocket, like perfectly. So when I wasn't supposed to be reading, technically, I'm on watch, I'm sneaking in, I'm reading the book, slipping in my pocket, because it will fit just right in my pocket. Those old school the trade press books, right? So that's how I came on to read. It was guys passing me, like we're talking about it. Man, read this book and then read that book because the character is in that book too, for real. And we talking about that. Round robin passing books, man. That's how I came into the game of books. So you're right. What all of y'all saying, man. I appreciate that. So my brother Navi, right? You write horror and you write sci-fi. Tell me
Yeah.
about being a black man
Mhm.
in that genre, because
Yes,
a lot
sir.
of us love Jordan Peele movies lately. Jordan Peele, what he's doing. Other people in that sci-fi space as well, dystopian. What's
Mhm.
it like being a black man navigating that particular those niches, if you will?
On the surface, it may seem as if like it's a lonely place to be, right? But most authors, we're introverts anyway. Most authors don't like humans anyway. So being in the lonely places. But in that genre, it pushes me to be better than everyone else, right? When I go into a genre when I'm writing, I am fearless. I'm not going to allow the success of other people in that genre that may not be black to make me feel nervous. I'm going to write this science fiction. I'm going to write this horror the way with my voice. So at times when people that target audience, when those readers read one of my books and they be like, a black guy wrote this? Somebody black? Yeah. And they be like, wow. And I just sit there and be like, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, go ahead, grab something else. I got something else for you. So the challenge is what I go after. Right. That's why
Mhm.
my first book was Young Adult Paranormal during the time when Harry Potter, Hunger Games, and the rest of those books was blowing up. The movies was in the theaters because I wanted to challenge myself. Like, okay, writing in urban is what is expected of me. I'm going to write in something that's not expected of me and see how
That's right.
far I can push myself. Because because now, as I'm seeing in in the independent side, when it comes to black authors, especially black authors that were writing urban when I started, now they're branching off into horror, into science fiction, and now, to my surprise and gleefulness, fantasy, like high fantasy. Like, I have seen some authors dive into like the Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones type of thing with an urban twist to it. I am so excited for that. So, but yeah, right into those genres, to be standing shoulder to shoulder with people that did not expect for you to hit that genre and excel and do better than them, write a story better than them is man, it's a better payoff than you getting that monthly deposit after you had a good month.
Right. Yeah, it's important, man, because I love the authors out there right now. I had a brother, Amari Richardson, on the show last year. He wrote this book. It's like the Game of Thrones, but with black people, and it's set in Africa. African names, African places, the representation, the imagery, everything he's doing in that. We need our kids need more of that,
Mhm.
and we need more of that. All of us need more of that. Not just the kids, but we all need to see more of us. You know, with the fiction and the fantasy, and we need all of that, man. Because we here too.
Yeah,
We in all that stuff
because
too. You know.
I have a science fiction trilogy that'll be out next month on the 10th. That's my animation behind me. Um, I can't wait because people are excited about it. The Black Lotus trilogy is about the future where women have taken over the planet, but there's some crazy going on underneath everything. There's something happening that women are now going to have to depend on men again, but they got to find one because this virus had eradicated all men on Earth. So now, in order to save the planet again, they need men and how they're going to navigate through that. And I can't wait. I can't wait for people to dive into this one because this one is going to mess people up a little bit. This one going to mess people up a little bit.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time and your service, my brother. Can you step out real quick? I'm gonna let the other brother step onto the screen, and we're gonna go to the back side of the show. Again, Instagram gonna give us full screen, so we're gonna let my man step out. Another brother step in. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Got one more brother in the building to come onto the screen. Keep the show going. Thank y'all. Thank y'all very much, man. You out there, hit the like button. You know what I'm saying? Share the page to your friends. You sitting around chilling. Got your beverage of choice, get some snacks, and keeping the black male writers going, man. I sent the invite to my brother. He coming up real soon.
Okay.
All right. Here we go, man. Here we go. Bringing up the rear. How you doing, my brother?
What's good
Give him
with the boy?
give him a small introduction in the genre that you write in.
Well, I'm Shakir Sean. I actually am multi-genre, same as Wanabi. I've done everything from erotic romance to paranormal. I'm currently in my YA and fantasy bag as well at this point, so it's a lot going on right now for me.
So a lot of you guys have written in the romance kind of genre, the urban fiction genre. What do
hmm
you think that black guys could gain from reading more romance in the urban fiction and things like that? Of course, those are kind of more female-dominated spaces. What could
I
more
mean,
guys gain from reading those kind of genres?
yeah,
Like
absolutely. I
like
mean, here's my thing when it comes to that is that you can really learn something from the male's point of view. Yes, we have women that have written extremely well as far as male protagonists and all that other good stuff and things of that nature. but it's something about having the innate ability to know what goes through a brother's head when he's in that space, in that romantic space, in that in a lot of different worlds that we can kind of jump into for the most part. So that's my thing when it comes to men writing romance and having that ability. And then of course making sure that we do the genre justice. I mean, there's still those that are out there that there's still the jokes that are out there when it comes to men reading, writing romance and that type of thing. But for the most part, I'm really at a space where I've learned from a lot of my sister scribes. I've learned a lot in terms of how to be as empathetic in a manner of speaking when it comes to how they want to see their men portrayed, especially black men in that space. So I'm really sensitive about it when I do it on my own.
For me, it's like I'm gonna give it to you how it come to me. Wow, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put that man in that perspective. Like when I wrote my first erotica romance, I didn't even want to do erotica romance. All my friends was like, "Well, we always heard your story. We want to hear your story. It's the freaky part." I'm like, "Oh Lord." So I was like, you know what? I always read Eric Jerome Dickey. I always read Terry Hilson and all them and Zane. I'm like,
Right.
man, let me bring out let me get it into my mind. And I wrote my first erotica romance. It's called The Play in Me. Boy, when I tell you I wrote that book, actually, it's a movie to that book on YouTube. It's called The Player. I turned that into a movie.
Good deal. Good deal.
And so they was like, man. So I was like, okay, I might be able to look good at this. But about the man that's in that book, he has feelings, he has emotions, and he goes through everyday life what us men go through at a point in time. You know what I'm saying? It's like the woman always shows that feeling. No, let me show it from a man's point of view, how we feel, what we go through on a daily basis. They think
Absolutely.
we're all dogs. They think we're all dogs in this. Well, what made us this way? How did we get to this point where we're going to play this one and play this one? We also are looking for the right one too. Not just y'all are looking for the right one. We looking for the right one too. So if we don't get to meet them, how we ever gonna find the right one? So I bring it from a man's perspective. And I actually wrote a book. It's called The Invisible Woman. That's a paranormal romance. And the woman in the book is a ghost. And the
Mm.
whole time you thinking she's so real because he's really talking to this woman, this ghost, and he's dating all the women at the time. But every time she pops up, and that's just like being in a real relationship. You're trying to get over that ex, and you want to date this one, but here she goes, keep nibbling at the bit. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's going through a perspective of what us men go through at the same time, but also the scenes are hot and steamy. Not to that's to bring them. Man, my inbox was blown up when I wrote my first one. I was like, oh,
Nicely
okay.
done.
So I might have found my little niche here. So it's like, man, but it's us being artists, man, and being creative and enjoying the ride at the same. Like when you sit back and read that book, you're like, man, boy, this one was good. How can I top this one? You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
it's fun and it's amazing, man, that us men, because it's always women. But how can we just slide in, put our little niche in there and be like, you know what? It's all right. And I love it because I always like to get a woman's perspective on what do you like. I got a little circle. They're all women. And when I finish writing the book, I throw it to them. What do you think? What do you think? They be
Agreed.
like, boy, you
Agreed.
said that. It was you, won't it? I was like, nah. But everything that comes from us, we done had some part in it. You know what I'm saying? And that's God given talent, man, that we can take our emotions, take our feelings, and put them all in a book, man, and give it out to the world to see it. Like that's what we enjoy. We actually enjoy doing stuff like that. Like Secure that he enjoys being in fantasy and romance and erotica because we get a kick out of it. We love it. And Quan at 19, I couldn't even see myself at 19 sitting there writing a book. I was like, what? You know what I'm saying? So that's amazing right there. You know what I'm saying? So that gives me hope. And it's like, man, us brothers are doing it, man.
I really
My
can't.
man Quan, what you got?
I can't really speak too much on the rock and all that. I ain't touched that part of my career yet. But no, I definitely agree with the being in touch with your emotions, man. Just as black men, we always known to be heartless, or we can't do this, we can't cry. It's all right to be in touch with those feelings. We all feel it, we all human at the end of the day. We all gonna feel those things. It's a part of us. I was raised by a black woman. I still have my black grandmothers. My father is around, but I was raised black. You can show these emotions. You ain't always gotta walk around hard. You ain't gotta walk around with your heart on your sleeve, crying everywhere you go, but it's all right to just feel those emotions, man. Embrace that.
So
I also want to
Absolutely.
state
Quan,
that I'm thinking about doing the self-help series, man. So if I can get you fellas in on that, all that. I want to step outside urban fiction. That's one of the genres I want to step into. Self-help. It's okay.
Okay.
We got a lot of these self-help books for us, but they ain't all
you
really
know,
out there. They not exclusive. They're
I
not easy
wanna
to get.
speak on that real briefly, right? Because my main genre is self help. I've
Or
been about almost 10 years in self help, 11 books, right? But when you go to some of those big stores, sometimes the self help genre, you might not see all that many of
there you
us
go.
in that genre. So we
Right.
need more of us writing to our topics, the way in which we talk about it, how we articulate it, our trouble, our background, our mindset. We need more of that, man. So definitely anybody that come on into the space, man, we need more of it. And whatever
Right.
help you need, bro, I'm here for you, man. Whatever you need,
Thank you.
hit me
Thank you.
up, man. I'm with it.
Definitely
I'm
gonna
with it, man.
reach out.
So
Thank you.
so so Quan,
What's up?
what was it like being a 19-year-old writer, like being the young phenom?
Yeah, that
What was that like? Because
part.
some
Definitely
folks
that
It
part.
some folks
was
might say
different.
a stereotype like if you're so young, you don't have enough lived experience to be able to write. But we all know that
Exactly.
Nas is 14 years old writing Illmatic. Even though some of the other hip
Exactly.
hop guys, they were young. Tupac Shakur, they're young guys, writing these vivid life things that still resonate to this day. So, what's it like being a young guy writing like that?
It's different, man. So when I first started, like you said, they expect you not to have too much life experience, which I did, and I can't say I was out there moving crazy and all that. But like Navi said before he stepped down, he read all these books. He picked from different books, different authors, put his twist on it, and boom, he had his first book. So I did something similar, man. I can't say, oh, I'm knowing these hitters out here. I know these assassins out here. But like he said, I picked from these different people, put my spin on it, and just did my own thing with it. But I travel. So I'm with the company MSC, so I'm always out the country working, seeing these different things in life. So I also pull from real life experiences, what I've seen from Spain, Italy, might go to Japan, just pull from what you see in life. That's what I've been doing.
So next, let's talk about the business of books. There's the business side of books. What advice would you guys give to anybody that want to be a writer that you wish you would have known before you started? In hindsight, like, man, I wish I would have known this. What's your advice on the business of books?
For me,
Be the first one to tell you you gotta learn the contract side of things. Not very many understand, the legalese of it all, and understanding that there might be certain clauses inside of that contract that are not in your best interest. I'm like you already, especially if you're dealing with traditional publishers, you're already starting off at a deficit in a lot of instances when it comes to negotiating contracts with, even if you have an agent that helps with the negotiations and things of that nature. You still need to at least have some base level understanding of what it is that you're about to sign off on. Case in point, I'm currently in negotiations right now with a contract lawyer so that I can get out of one of my Simon and Schuster contracts, because there was a clause in the contract that literally said that I can't get the rights back to a couple of my books until 70 years after my
Oh,
death.
that's why.
What?
Yes, sir.
Oh, we need more of these conversations,
Yeah.
bro.
But
We need more of
that, I mean, had
these
I known,
conversations, bro.
had I known that, and I would have easily have gotten my agent at the time to say, you know what, hold on, we need to step away from that real quick and see about figuring out a different negotiation point, because that's some bullshit. That's really what it was at that time. But I didn't know any better because I was so hard pressed on trying to get trad published that I was like, not necessarily that I was taking any deal that was in front of me, but that's what ended up happening.
Right. Right. See, a lot of times we speak on hip hop contract, we speak on sports contracts. Not enough is getting said in the book side to make more of the new writers be aware of certain things, man. It's not really what you just said 2 minutes ago. That's not really talked about publicly like that. We need more
Right.
conversations like this on the business side of this whole thing, man. It is a business. We love it. It's art. It's expressive. All of that.
But it's
But at the end
still
of the
a
day,
business.
it's still a business,
And
right?
you know, for me, was like I think I got to my third or fourth book. I'm like, man, I ain't seen no money coming in. But I'm watching my publicists, they getting money. I'm like, and I'm seeing people on Facebook, Instagram, got the book and everything. I'm like, man, I ain't give them a $3.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Did he freeze or is it
I
all
don't know if
good?
he
yeah,
froze.
he
Okay.
froze
Yeah,
on,
because he was.
on my end too.
I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going till you come back. But I was gonna say that doing these author interviews, the blessing is talking to these people off the camera, these high level, multi published, award winning people, and I'm hearing some of the background of what they're dealing with, even
Mhm.
at that level of it. I'm like, man, this game is crazy, and I always parallel the book game to the music game, bro. Like a lot of the
And
same practices
and
still
it's a
happen,
lot of
man.
parallels. It's a lot of parallels.
Yeah. When it comes to marketing, right? Marketing and promotion. Somebody asked in the comment, it kind of goes together. They said, why don't y'all show up to the big indie book event? Is the question in the chat, right? I know for me personally, I haven't been invited to those kind of things. If I would, I'm there all day. I'm going as a consumer. So tell me your experiences, writers, about that question. Why don't y'all show up to the big indie book events?
It ties into the business of books at this point. I mean, you can't go into a book event and and then jump in, and now you're operating at a deficit almost immediately at that point. You go into I'm like, see, think about it at this stage. If I'm in Atlanta and I got to travel to New York for the Harlem Book Festival, that's air, that's hotel, that's talk, all of that factors into
Hit
trying to
deposit.
make sure that I sell enough books to even break even to head back home, much less turn a profit. And now I got
Yes.
to do this. Now I got to do this at least 2-3 times a year at the very least, outside of maybe doing some of the stuff that's going around in my own city. That's really what it is at this point. I mean, it's easy to say, why don't you be out there? Yeah, it's all good until you got to spend about 2-3 stacks. And now, you don't spent the 2-3 stacks and you only sold maybe 40 books on average if you're lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because some of those book events, they got so many authors there to where
Exactly.
it's like, then you got the big names that's gonna be there. So of
Mm-hmm.
course they're gonna flock toward their table or whatever
So now
before your table.
you're
I'm
trying to
saying so
jump in. Yeah, you're trying to jump in with everybody else at that particular point in time. And that type of thing. I had to learn that lesson real quick because there would be events where I would be in there with 90 other authors and I'm going, yeah, really? What is we doing here? So, because half of the people that already done came and got who they wanted to come and get because they have a bigger presence online, and they may have a bigger, not necessarily a bigger platform or a lot more reader or larger reader base per se, but you go in there and now you're almost fighting for attention.
and you know what? I'm thinking about it right quick. I think the promoters of these events, they think it sounds real good to say, man, this year we got 400 authors. But it's like, bro, if I'm at an actual live event, a physical event,
Right?
and we all, bro, that's tough.
It's
That's
it's
tough.
it's
At a
really
live
difficult to do.
event, that's tough.
Yeah, it's really difficult to do for the most part. That's why I've always been appreciative of Joss over at Indie Love because she captured it about maybe 20, 25 at the most. That way everybody can get in, as far as that is. And she's been doing it for, I think we're celebrating 10 years next year. And I'm like, I have never, ever not sold less than 70 books out of her event. Never. And I appreciate her for that. And, a lot of other events I've had to cross over in a lot of instances because a lot of the genres that I write in are not heavy when it comes to African American readership. So I have to cross over in a lot of instances. So, I may be at, a Dragon Con during the fall season, or I might be at sci-fi events, sci-fi book events and things of that nature, or fantasy book events, because the readership in and of itself is already skewed heavily toward the majority readership, so to speak. So yeah, we do want to have as much representation as humanly possible, but it's still got to be a readership that can help support that as far as that is. I mean, I literally just got one of my books back from my publisher to try and republish at this point because their reader base did not rock with what I was pushing. And eventually it was losing money. So we basically came up with the agreement of, okay, just give me my shit back. I'll do it a different way, and no harm, no foul. That's really what it was at that particular point. But then we did everything we could. We tried to get the influencers involved. We tried to get different book clubs involved. We tried to get a lot of the publications that normally rock with that particular publisher real tough. And none of it came to pass because the readership that they have built in is not us.
Before we move on to go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
For me, what I learned, I went and got my own LLC for my publication company.
Mm-hmm.
I publish my own books now. Everything comes to me, all awards, everything, because it's like, all right, if I'm gonna be an indie author, and what got me was I published a book with a publisher, and when they sent some work back to me, it had 5 on it, but they didn't know, like a year before, I actually went to a major Fiverr event, and I met the CEO of Fiverr. We used to connect back and forth. I'm like, well, if they can do that, why can't I? So I'm like, and I'm not seeing no royalties or nothing, so why can't I choose to have control of my books? Why can't I have control of everything that I do? And it's not hard. It's just a simple. It takes time, but it's really not hard because the major publications, they're going to do the same thing that you're doing. They just got the big name. So why can I be instrumental in what I'm doing? This is my brand that I'm talking about. And what I learned, like more people, they like Amazon and they like Barnes and Nobles, but you got that physical book in your hand. Mm-hmm. You're a multimillionaire. You got the physical book in your hand. I walk around with 10 books. By Monday night, they're gone.
And that's a good thing.
I give the illustration all the time about my biggest event ever in my life to date. I had a Barnes and Noble's book signing, right? Big poster in the front, the 7-foot life size, my image blown up, big old crowd came out, all of that, right? My homeboy, he a writer too, independent writer. I let him ride with me. He sold his book in the parking lot out of my trunk of my car. I'm being real. Whenever we drove off and left, Barnes and Nobles had cut they 70 to 80% off the top. My homeboy, the passenger seat, like, yeah, what we gonna eat at? Here. Because he made more money as an independent writer, you keeping your intellectual property versus dealing with these big companies. To the consumers, they're like, oh, it's a Barnes and Noble's book event. I made more money at a barbershop book event versus Barnes and Noble. It don't sound as jazzy. It don't sound as, oh, it's a Walmart book event. Or is that Target? That's just fugazi.
Well, I think that's the other half of it. You got to be able to balance the two. You still have to be in as many spaces as humanly possible, as opposed to you're just relying on one set or you're relying on the big ticket retailers and that type of thing. So if you can balance the two, it makes it easier for you to be able to at least develop the type of capital that you need to be able to do some of the larger events and things of that nature. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And if you don't have the capital, you got to find it somewhere. And most of us most of us are still working full time. So we having to leverage a lot of our salaries against, the travel costs and all of the things that come into play when it comes to trying to attend these events. And then you still have to rely on the event coordinators to, one, know who you are, two, feel like that you could be a positive addition to their event, and that type of thing. You just can't waltz up in there and say, "Hey, I want to be a part." They got to say yes.
Right.
Before we pivot, the reason why I asked that question because when I came a writer like 19 years ago, most of us just want to write. You don't realize coming into it, I got to be a videographer, I got to be a photographer, I got to buy lights, I got to buy cameras, I got to buy a tripod, I didn't think about that when I wanted to write. So my first time ever doing a book signing, bro, I laughed at my table looking back on it. Because the sister next to me, clearly she had been doing this. She had all kind of decorative stuff on the table and all kind of banners hanging down.
Yes,
It was a big old, smoke coming up from the ground. I'm like, damn. But I didn't
It's a
think
production,
that
my
for, I
boy.
just wanted to be a writer. I got to be a decorator. You know
It's a
what I'm saying?
production, bro.
You got to be,
There's no getting
you got to have all
around
that.
it. It used to, those days of just, okay, I just want to write and let everybody else kind of sell the books, and that them days have been gone for a good long minute. You have to be this is entertainment now. This is no longer about just writing the books. You have to be able to have as much of a presence as you can possibly have. You have to be able to, get in and be as personable as humanly possible. You still have to be able to be as accessible as you can possibly be. Within certain constructs, so to speak. And within certain limitations, because you can't be everywhere at once. You can be in as many spaces as you possibly can, but it ain't but 24 hours in a day, and 8 of them you got to sleep.
Exactly.
It's no sleep.
What's sleep?
For
Sleep.
me,
What's
no,
that?
it's no sleep.
Sleep.
For me, it's fun because like when he was talking about traveling, like I do a lot of universities, and like I'm be doing Grambling State in about a couple of days. I'm be doing Grambling State.
Nice.
Like I
Shout
just
out, shout
love,
out.
I just love going to the colleges, man, because it's like you're not gonna make no money, but it's just like, man, I did it. Here I am. Like I went to Howard, Georgetown, like I call grandma. It's like we go to 33 of your books. I'm like, how am I going to sell 33 books in 3 hours? It's no
It can be
way.
done.
Make it work.
It
It
can't be
can be done.
done. But Lord, but you know what? It's just the idea of just, putting yourself out there. Like some of us, we're shy. We just don't like to be around people and stuff, but it puts yourself out there. Put yourself out there to offer, because it might be one person that grabbed that book, and that book might take you to spaces you never think of. So you show up
Absolutely.
and you be there, and you're like, you know what? I might have paid $200 to go there, but it's all worth it. You know what I'm saying?
It's worth the
This is what I signed
experience.
up. This is what I signed up for. I signed up for. I learned how to do all my book trailers now. I do all my, cause I like, man, I'm not gonna keep paying somebody $50 to do my book trailers, and they don't even look like what I asked them to do. Oh, now it'll take me a time. You're gonna see some rough patches in my stages from the early beginnings, but now I'm like, yeah, come top this one. Yeah, these my trailers, and I get it to fit my personality. For me, writing is all about what fits your personality. What are you thinking about in your dome? And that's the thing I love about writing, man, because you're free to be who yourself. Whatever you're going through on any given day, whatever you see, you're free to be yourself. You're free to write about whoever you want to write about and everything. I remember my first book came out. My daughter's mother was like, "Oh, I'm going to sue you for this." And I'm like, you can't do that because it's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? So you learn about the little nuances of the game, and how, like you said, you used to go to book center. I see these people with these big posters, and my table just says plain Jane. I'm like, I'm not doing all that. If they're going to buy my book or they're not. Then I was like, you know what? I went to a book sign, and it was Books by the Beach. It was in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. I said, you know what? I'm
Okay.
gonna do it one time. It's for my newest book, The Pastor's Son. Man, I went and bought candle lights, the little petal roses, the red and black balloons, and
Mm-hmm.
put out the table. I was like, man, but it makes you feel good. You're like, all right, I'm here now. Look at my table, and I was the only guy there. So it's like, that was like, ooh, that's sexy. That's nice. That's erotica right there.
Exactly.
So, like you said, it's entertainment. So, it makes us feel good. Like, okay, they got hip hop. We got books over here, though. We can be fly. We can be hip. We can be entertainment, too. So that's what we're trying to show the other black people. We are entertainment, too. We're not boring. You just need to come in
Absolutely.
our world and share some of our imagination, and let's see where you go with it. You know what I mean? Because it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yes,
Yep.
sir. Yes, sir. Let me ask y'all writers this question, man. I saw an article recently. It said that only 44% of the country read books at all. Only 44%. Now, as a
Mhm.
writer, how do you feel whenever you see graphics like that going around about the lack of literacy, and what can we do on our side to increase that number? Is the question.
Uh,
Honestly, I think in a lot of instances the number is, I won't say it's exaggerated, but at the same time, you have to understand that everybody has their ways of absorbing media, so to speak. The rise of audiobooks is a thing. So you have to pay attention to the fact that while people are not reading print media, they are still consuming books in other fashions. That's really what it is at that particular point. So when you're looking at audiobooks, it harkens back to, when people were oral storytellers, and they were telling stories, in different circles and that type of thing, as far as that is, as opposed to it would be in print. I mean, shit, we were telling stories before there was a such thing as print media. So for it to come back full circle to an audiobook format where you having somebody read that to you and you absorb it the way that we were originally intended before print media began is a thing. So I would say, if we have the ability, especially considering, unfortunately, it's become a production in and of itself when it comes to audiobook, if we can find a way to make them more affordable, for lack of a better term,
Hey, I got
so
the
that
hookup
people
for
can
y'all with the
find
audio
other
book.
ways, you know, so that people can find other ways and other mediums to be able to consume what you're trying to put out there. Because reading and writing is nothing more than putting pictures to words. For the most part, you're creating the imagery with the words that are being put out there, whether you're writing them down or whether you're speaking them into the universe.
I could definitely agree with the audiobook thing, man. I just looked at my account recently. I think I'm sitting on like 430 audiobooks, man. So it's up there.
Absolutely.
It's definitely on the rise, man. Like you said, we might not be selling as many print books. We might not see somebody walking around holding that book no more, but we always got those headphones, and it might not always be music. You could be
Exactly.
listening to that Wahida Clark book, that my recent joint, anything.
When you have
Audiobooks is
people,
definitely they
when
taking over. I'm trying to tap into it myself. Shoot, I'm sitting
Yeah,
on
when you
four
have people
books.
that are literally they're in their cars a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times, the commute alone is anywhere between an hour and 2 hours, depending on where you're living,
Exactly.
and that type of thing. Or, people that are on long distance travel, whether they're on the road or whether they're whether they're on flights or whatever the case may
Mm-hmm.
be. There ain't no thing to pop an earphone, and
Yeah,
go ahead and
listen. Yep.
consume whatever book that they want to do, as far as that is. I had several who literally read a few audiobooks that I had available on a transatlantic flight.
I
That
had
ain't
my mom
nothing.
on that, man. We taking a ride to New York. She normally listen to music, like she drive listening to music. Now, man, she called me. She was like, "Man, I just listened to this audiobook you told me listen to." It's
Mm-hmm.
always about putting people on. Them audiobooks is out there, and they not new, man. Go to
Yep.
the library; they
No,
always out
they've been
there.
around for a minute. It's just
Exactly.
the production. The production of it has been very hindering for a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
Right.
independents in that
What I,
regard.
what I was going to say, I said it a couple of days ago about the audio concept. People that tried audio books years ago and they didn't like it, they should really try it again now, because first of all, I love the amount of writers that's doing their own narration and they're
Agreed.
reading the way in which they intended it. You know what you meant when you said it. You know how it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be when you wrote it, right? The second thing is some of these audio companies, they're making a full out. It's like hearing a movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
the gunshots, the tires spinning, explosion, a fight scene, like
Yep.
all these things. The water coming on in the shower, like it's a full out theatrical moment.
It's
It's not
It's
just
an
some
literally a
monotone
adaptation of
voice.
that,
production.
I got a
yeah.
You know what
guy.
I'm saying?
I got a guy right now. His name is Indy. He does audiobooks for people, and his price is so sweet. Like somebody tried to charge me an audio 5,000 for an audiobook. I paid that to do my movie. I'm like, no, I'm not paying 5,000. I can have a whole movie for five.
Hell, you got
So,
to wait
Exactly.
cheap on the 5K, bro.
shoot, and the dude, he does backgrounds, the noises, and everything. And only charges 800. He said, but I do your books. You get people to come do it. Yours to be. I'm like, you know what? That's what you got to do. Network and find out where do you get your help at, where you do all this and that, and it's like, okay, we're gonna come together because, like he said, like right now, audiobooks are so expensive to do, man. We're like, all right, we just gonna keep writing, shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But you find that person that can get you in, and you plug other people in. That's where it's go because we all got to come together in this, man. Because that's going to be the future,
Hmm.
like
Agreed.
Quan said, and like Charles said, yeah.
Yeah. It is the wave, man. So my intent next year, I'm gonna start interviewing more narrators, bringing them on, and so now
Mm-hmm.
we as writers, we can see what the talent is, and they can talk about
Absolutely.
their process and what their thing is like, and some of us can connect with them to bring the worlds together. The narrators and the writers come together, and we all do this thing
Mm-hmm.
together, man.
Yep.
And we all
That's
get
it.
bread, you know.
That's it.
So before we leave, this event we're doing right
Mm-hmm.
now, the Brae event, tell us what that means for you and your platform as a writer, being a part of an event like this, and the opportunity that Sister A. A. Lewis has created, this universe. What's it like being a part of something like this, fellas?
Well, first, I just
I
want to
mean,
thank
this is.
her for even having it, man. It's hard to get your work out there. So, hey, Lewis, you know I love you. I see you at Detroit all the time. So I definitely got to give you your flowers. Thank you for that. Thank you for even. This is the second time I didn't did it. I was a little shaky on the first time, but I got the interview in the second time. I got the books ready, all that for tomorrow. So I just want again thank you for even having the event. It's about exposure, all that, but it's more about thanking them readers, man. Without them, where we gonna be at? We just gonna be some brothers holding books. No salesmen.
Agreed.
Without them readers, we ain't nothing for real. We still gonna be something, but they get us out there. Like my man said, it's word of mouth. You give it to this man, he pass it to the next, to the next.
Yep.
Next thing you know, you start your book off in Virginia, it might end up in somewhere in California, Omaha,
Yeah,
all that.
absolutely. Um, same thing. Same things with Quan saying. I mean, I've been a part of stuff your Kindle days and different things of that nature. But again, that was always more of a racially mixed author group more than anything else. So for AA to do this for nothing but us,
Hmm.
it is absolutely stellar. And to be able to have even the sheer number that she was able to even call together in this particular instance, and the number keeps growing and it's appreciated and then some. I mean, regardless of whether I get anything out of it or anything along those lines, just the fact that they can see that we're here
Thanks.
is a win in and of itself.
Yeah, because while
Man,
I'm on Amazon getting a certain book. I'm gonna go and fire that author. I'm gonna go on social media, fire that author. We having
Mm-hmm.
conversations like we're growing. We can't no longer say we don't know these authors. You have
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for this whole week. They got 400 authors. You can go if you want and follow 400
Hmm.
people and follow their content, follow their pages, and
because you
just
never
grow
know
what you
what
already
you may
created.
find.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I want to thank AA man because I follow her on Facebook and I was like, what is this? A reappreciation, And I was like, you know what?
Yep.
That's something different. You know what I'm saying? I like different. I don't like doing the same thing. I don't like keep doing on the same platform. I was like, let me look into it. I'm just like, oh wow, look at all these authors, man. I'm like, ooh, I'm like, let me get my name over there. You know what I'm saying? It's something
Yep.
that'll
Exactly.
get you some exposure, man. He's like, yeah, let me do this. And then just promoting it and marketing it and just, something for us is black appreciation and for readers to read. I'm like, man, for that whole week, don't even cut on your TV. You're gonna have books to read.
Yeah.
And the
Exactly.
blessing
Over 400
and,
books
and,
to
and, the,
read.
and the blessing and all that, man, that we authors actually are copyrighted, that we can go in our own system and pull our books so they can read it for free, and they can't nobody do nothing about it. You know that's the blessing right there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just like for me, I was like, you know what? On that last day, I got a surprise for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give them something special to read. I ain't gonna
Okay.
tell them what it is. I'm gonna
Okay.
explain
Okay.
it on the last day what they can read.
I dig.
But man,
Okay.
it's just like, I want to give them somebody. It's gonna be free that whole day.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the blessing, man. To have fun with it, man.
We
Absolutely.
spoke earlier about passing books and passing newspapers, but something like this. For these next days to be able to give our stuff out, they can see some of our work. Like, you know what? If you enjoy that particular book,
I got this
come over here and see what else
over
I
here
got.
for
Most of
you.
us have multiple books. You
Right.
enjoyed that. Come see everything else in the archive and see what we got going on, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Mm.
I thank y'all very much for coming out. Thank y'all fellas for making year number 2,
Always.
the all black male
Always.
panel, making it a success. I look forward to next year. Like she said, she's gonna grow it. It's gonna be more guys coming out, man. And look forward to the event in a matter of hours. We'll be all on Kindle, downloading. Holler at the
Absolutely.
sister A. Lewis. Go to her page. Go to
Yes.
her newsletter, the mailing list. Stay up to date. Follow these guys. Follow their pages. Follow their content, man. I'm your host, Sean P. Thank y'all very, very much. Have a wonderful
Thank you
evening. Be
You
for
too.
blessed.
having me, man.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Thank you.